Well, you've mentioned a lot of legends, even just growing up. So you've had experience playing with tons of incredible players, clearly from the time you were in high school. And that was just, like you said, just the ones that became famous or whatever.
Right.
You know, there's probably an equal amount of incredible musicians that people wouldn't, not the general public wouldn't recognize their name.
Right.
Now, when I look at some of your credits list, it blows my mind at some of the legends: Freddie Hubbard, Chick Corea, rest in peace, Pat Metheny, James Brown. This insane list of pretty much anybody's bucket list of musicians they'd want to play with. When you're playing with musicians like that, is there something that, and I'm going to consider you a legend as well. You're just on the other side of this call with me, so I don't want to flatter you too much. So people are gonna be saying the same thing about you. In this realm, is there something that many of these legends are focusing on, paying attention to, both musically and artistically, as far as just expression? Is there something they're paying attention to that the average musician isn't?
It depends. It depends on the artist. Everyone you just named had such extremely different methods of leading bands and to creativity. But I think there's one thing that they all have that you just cannot get to unless you've logged the miles. You know what I mean? Like, there's a certain amount of wisdom that they have that you just got to wait to get that. You have to do a lot of listening, a lot of trial and error until you actually get to that place where you know yourself, you know what I mean? And you're confident in what you can do and what you can get out of other people. Sometimes I feel like, I think like Miles Davis, there's a great almost every Miles Davis quote is a great quote, but he was saying how greatness really has nothing to do with age. And I believe that, but I do believe wisdom is very much directly age related. But I think being great, particularly being great at your instrument, having great ideas, writing great tunes, writing great arrangements, you can be great at any age. I mean, Charlie Parker was great in his 20s. Clifford Brown was great in his 20s. Miles was great in his 20s. You know, Roy Hargrove was great in his 20s. Joshua Redman was great in his 20s. So when that whole thing came down on us in the 90s, where all these young jazz musicians are getting all these record contracts, they ain't that good. No, they were that good. Sorry.
Yeah.
But there's a certain wisdom that you can't get until you've actually lived, knowing when to pick your spots, And I think of somebody like Chick Corea, who we just lost suddenly a few days ago. This cat, Chick was interesting because I got to see Chick in a lot of different situations. I saw how he was when he was playing with his peers, and I got to see him play in bands where, he was sort of bringing up the younger guys. Two vastly different Chick Coreas. Like when I went on the road with him for the first time, it was a band called Remembering Bud Powell. And Wallace Roney played trumpet. Joshua Redman and Kenny Garrett alternated on saxophones. Myself and Roy Haynes. Now, when you got Roy Haynes playing drums on the gig, what are you going to tell him? Nothing. You don't say anything to Roy Haynes. I feel like anytime Roy Haynes is on the gig, it's his gig.
Yeah.
Even if he's a sideman. And so on that tour, Chick was like, I couldn't believe just how open and cool he was. I mean, it was like playing with one of my peers. It was like playing with like Brad Meldau or Benny Green or somebody like that. Like, man, he brought in all this big stacks of all these new arrangements. But if anybody in the band didn't quite nail it, Chick would do like Uri Kane did on the Philadelphia Experiment. He's like, no, that's not right, but I like what you played. Keep that in,
Yeah.
And then I remember he needed a bass player. He had this band called Vigil, and they had a European tour, and something had happened with the bass player in that band. And Chick called me at the last minute. He said, Chris, I need you to, if you're available, can you please do this European tour till I find a steady bass player? I said, I'll be honored to come out and play with you anytime, Chick. So I went on the road with that band, and in that band were some younger guys. Marcus Gilmore played drums, who's also Roy Haynes' grandson. Charles Altura played guitar. guy named Tim Garland, great saxophonist from the UK. Luisito Quintero played percussion. Now, guys like Charles and Marcus, they're young guys, right? They're kind of on the come up. Chick was a little more stern with them than he was with Roy Haynes, Wallace Roney, and Kenny Garrett. And so, it was just interesting to see, okay, so Chick picks his spots.
Yeah.
Depending on what band it is. And, he kind of reads the terrain and reacts accordingly. He's like a running back. Okay, they're giving me that defense. Okay, I know how to handle that one.
Yeah.
Whereas some band leaders are just going to do what they do no matter who it is. You get a legend on the gig like Roy Haynes. Roy, I need you to play this exactly like that. You get a younger guy on the gig. I need you to play exactly like this, whatever, to each his own. But that was a long way of saying, I'm not sure that these legends focus on one particular thing that others don't, but there's a certain wisdom that comes with just years